whole display as the ghost, not just the figures. He doesn't need to kill anyone, sacrifice, or use spells. He just sits back while the display does it for him until the day when there were 18 victims. The time when 18 of the most evil souls that have ever been shall live again, destroying the world with the help of their possessed. The voodoo end of the world, when the dead shall rise and consume all things.
Can this be stopped?
Maybe before the event.
Hey everybody, welcome to another sweet episode of Halloween Month and a Half.
Yep.
As we dive into another horror treat. Now, the film we picked is actually kind of a coincidence. I believe yourself, Trevor, mentioned a few months ago. We kind of mentioned it. I can't remember if it was in the magazine. If you mentioned it in Phantasmagoria magazine, or we talked about it. It was on Shudder or something.
I think we were just talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was this coincidence. We were talking about this movie called Waxwork. Came out back in 1988. And we always kept talking about, let's do it. It'd be kind of fun. We haven't seen it in a while. And sadly, just a few days ago, we found out that Anthony Hickox, the writer and director of the film, passed away mysteriously, which is sad. And so we felt this would be a nice way to kind of pay a little tribute to his work, and at the same time talk about a film that we were going to talk about initially. And that's where we are. We're talking the 1988 film Waxwork. Now, Anthony Hickox is kind of an interesting story. It's weird because he directed a lot of good directors, and seem to, they start off with horror and they go on and do really well.
Yeah.
Chuck Russell we talk about quite a bit, who did The Blob, Dream Warriors, and so forth. We talk about Renee Harlan, who did Nightmare on Elm Street, and he went on to do, Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger. Right. We talk Pete Jackson, who started with horror, Dead Live and Bad Taste. We talk about Catherine Bigelow, who did Near Dark, ended up getting the Oscar for Hurt Locker. Andrew Davis, The Final Terror, ended up getting Oscar nods for The Fugitive. Roger Spottiswoode did Terror Train. Then he went on to do Stop or Mama Shoot. I'm sorry, buddy. I'll give you... Sorry, Roger Spottiswoode. We give you a pass. You're still a good director.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi started in horror, and he ended up going to do Spider-Man, a little indie film called A Simple Plan.
Darkman, which is a superhero film.
Well, that's still kind of horror-esque. But you get my point. But for some reason, there's a small cluster of filmmakers that never left the B underground train. And what I mean by that, there's all these companies. One comes to mind called Full Moon Entertainment. It's a Charles Band product. Stuart Gordon would be part of that team. We talked about that with Reanimator. And
From Beyond and stuff, yeah.
And Stuart Gordon came close with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He wrote it, I believe. So he had flashes there, but I think he had health concerns, why he couldn't pursue it. But anyways, they always stayed underground. And this is usually part of the Vestron group. The Vestron Entertainment was kind of like what Lionsgate was. Lionsgate did a lot of horror films. Then they did successful horror films. Then they built on that, and they went on to do,
I always
big
remember
blockbusters.
Their logo coming up in a lot of the films I watched on video as a kid. Yeah,
and that's what Vestron was. But Vestron never, that was it. They never really took their money and put it into, bigger films to get released in the theater. They did a movie called Soul Man, which was stupid. But
I remember that. Yeah.
They didn't do anything big and commercial, so they kind of went under. They were just known as the video team. And nothing wrong with that. Vestron gave us some fun titles, including the Full Moon Entertainment and Charles Band stuff. And well, this is where Anthony Hickox came from. And he started off, he was a club promoter. And all the people he met, like Studio 54 and all this stuff. And when all these people he met, he was able to, I can't remember where he got the funds. I think you said maybe a car accident is where he got the funds.
Well, it was a car, there was a car, apparently from what I've read, there was a car crash. And to pay for the damage that he had apparently caused to this other guy's car, who was some studio guy, he said, I'll write a script for you. Or something like that happened. So that's where the script for Waxwork, which apparently he wrote over a weekend, came from. Again, I stress apparently. It's just what I've read.
Yeah. Well, he took that, and he went on and he wrote and directed, obviously, well, about talk about Waxwork.
Yep.
And, it's Waxwork's got some flashes here. And I was surprised Hickox didn't go on to do anything else. He did Hellraiser 3, which is kind of a lot of people seem to like. But
he also did a sequel to this as well, Waxwork 2.
That wasn't him.
Did he not write it? Was he not involved in the sequel?
No.
At least.
Might have been involved, but the sequel's terrible.
I can't remember. But I've always had a very sort of love for this one, Waxwork, since I first watched it on video.
Yeah. Yeah, so did I. And now we're here to revisit it and see if it kind of holds up. And maybe find out why, Anthony Hickox never really found his footing. And again, I think it's just the group of people he hung out with, and they just never, I don't know.
He never got the breaks, it appears, for whatever reason.
Whatever reason. It's kind of odd.
Well, he did get some breaks, but he never really sort of...
He worked. He worked his whole life. I mean, he always worked, and good on him. He always did, a lot of really bad, cheesy direct-to-video.
Well, he never would have reached the heights of, say, Raimi or such.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning, like the guys before, like I mentioned before. And I never understood that, because I do think Waxwork has flashes of a lot of competency here. Let's dive into it. We've got... Again, going back to what I just said about directors not really fully seeing their potential.
Yes.
Kind of stuck in the 80s. So is this cast, really. Zach Galligan, we know from Gremlins. He is Mark. Deborah Foreman, who I was a big fan of. I had a big crush on her.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be the new It girl.
She's still acting. I think she's still doing TV and stuff.
She still does, but I think she raised her kids instead.
But to be fair, I actually prefer the other girl, Johnson, her name is.
Yeah. Oh, Michelle Johnson,
yes.
China.
Yeah.
Well, we got Deborah Foreman, who was in Valley Girl, and one of my favorite horror films, April Fool's Day. Probably get to that one.
That's right.
David Warner, he plays the owner.
Yeah.
Danny Ashbrook plays Tony, and then you got little guy, he's Hans. And you got the two throwaways, Gemma and James. So,
and of course, well, just before we go any further, Dana Ashbrook, probably his most famous role as Bobby Briggs in Twin Peaks. Wee bit of a David Lynch reference there for you.
So anyways, I read up on this one. I do love the Wax Museum. I think it's kind of fun.
Yep.
And they almost got sued. They had the Village of the Damned, Jason, and the thing in there.
Yeah.
And they couldn't. They said you can't use it.
Creature from the Black Lagoon as well, I think.
There's a couple of them. Kane Hodder is the stunt director, stunt coordinator for this?
Yeah, I know he was involved, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. All right, so we open up. I love the intro music. It's all swing music.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
1950s type.
And you kind of know where this film is going to be. It's going to be pretty much a comedy. Because you open up this, swing band music, dun, 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 and then you see a man's getting his head shoved into a fireplace.
Yeah.
It's actually a nice little death. Horrible death to get, but it's nice little icebreaker. And I do like how you meet Mark and his mom, such a snob. It's so over the top.
Yeah. I mean, it sets itself out from the start as this is tongue-in-cheek comedy.
Exactly. You meet the team. You meet all the misfits.
You meet Warner, who's the best, actor in it, I think.
They all do what they need to do, I think.
Although Patrick McNee's pretty good as well,
as Wolfie.
Yeah.
They're all okay.
Yeah.
They do their job. Again, like we always mention this, it's a fucking horror film from the 80s. Who cares a shit?
Yeah.
But what I liked about it is it's simple and to the point. It's an hour and a half. It's, hey, come to my opening tonight at midnight, and you can see the exhibit. I do love when they go to the exhibit, and it's actual actors playing.
And you can see them moving.
You can see them moving.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, God, love them.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, you can see like their eyes and stuff moving.
Yeah, but you know what? We talk about charm. It gets a pass. They can't afford to be doing all these fucking mannequins that you'll get from movies like Waxwork.
Yeah, exactly.
And House of Wax.
Well, they ended up running out of budget on this, hence the chaotic finale.
I was about to say, because we're going to talk about that. The film works on quite a few levels. And we'll just start off with what I do like about it. And I saw this through the podcast eyes. It's a little smarter than the average when I watched it when I was younger. in the 80s. And what I liked about it, it's actually an anthology horror film.
Yes, I was just going to say that. It is. Yep.
It plays a lot, instead of some narrator coming out and going, "Boo, let's talk about the next tale."
Yes.
It's the actors that bring you into the next tale.
Yep. There's the werewolf one. There's the vampire one. There's the Marquis de Sade. Yep.
Yeah, the Marquis de Sade. Just so Suede. What'd you just say?
Sade. The Marquis.
It's not how you say it.
De Sade. Yeah.
No, it's not. Sade.
It's Sade. No, it's Sade.
It's Sade.
Sadomasochism.
But it's Marquis de Sade.
Well, jury's out on that, but I would say
it's
it's Sade. I would say Sade. To be fair, I do get names wrong a lot in the pronunciation of them, so you may be onto that. I mean, I am renowned for pronouncing names just the way I see them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the editor-in-chief of Phantasmagoria magazine.
I'm not talking about the written word. I'm talking about the spoken word.
I know.
That's different.
Yeah, but so I saw that, and they're fun. A couple of them don't work. And they kind of mix it well, because when they go in and they have to face their fear, technically is what they have to do. And if they don't master facing their fear, they become part of the display.
Yes.
And so you'll see the story and how they become part of the display. Or you'll see them get shoved into it, and then a second later, they pop into the display. You don't see the story.
I think that was because of budget reasons. Again.
Well, that's fine. And that's fine. I kind of like mixing it up like that to see how it's done. And I really enjoyed that. And I got to say, it's technically an anthology film.
Yeah, definitely. And like all anthology films, there are some stories that you like better than others. Yeah, that's the nature of them.
They're simple little stories.
Yeah.
The wolf one's my favorite.
I like the vampire one.
Yeah, well, you got John Rhys Davies in The Wolf.
Yes.
And it's Toby. Is it Toby or Tony? Played by your boy from Twin Peaks.
I think it's Toby.
I think it's Toby. And I just love how he thinks, okay, China, did you put acid in my drink again?
Yeah.
And he thinks he's in a role-playing kind of gig.
Yeah. He's basically, his character here is actually very similar to Bobby Briggs in Twin Peaks, who's basically a dick. But however, in the 2017, later series, he's matured somewhat. But yeah, I've always liked Dana Icebrook.
Anyways,
right, that was a bit abrupt.
you and Twin Freaks. Jesus Christ, nobody knows who this guy is.
I do.
Nobody.
The Twin Peaks fans do.
Oh my God! Nothing against you, Danny Ashbrook, and I do apologize for not caring that you're in Twin Peaks. Jesus Christ! You need so much help and guidance. Twin Peaks, Doctor Who, and the X-Files.
Oh, yes.
If any of those actors, any actor, they could be in the worst fucking film ever. Okay? Ever, people. And then hear me out. He will go, oh my God. But you haven't seen Twin Peaks. He's in that. He is brilliant.
He plays the dancing horse or something. Yeah, in Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You forgot Twilight Zone. That's another point of reference of mine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck me. But yeah, so the scenes do work, and I do. Yeah, the Dracula ones. There's a scene where Dracula and she's got to eat the steak tartare.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
it looked really real, like she was eating flesh and blood and shit.
Yeah.
And I do like how she's thrown into this room, and it's beautifully bleached white.
Yes,
and she's in this beautiful white dress, and then there's this poor fucker being eaten. His leg is.
It's her husband.
Yeah,
within the context of the story that she's being thrown into. Yeah,
but what I also do like about it, it plays on her. It's kind of muddled with the other characters, but she has this big speech with Mark, who she used to date, saying, "I want to be wooed as a woman.
Yes,
I want to be treated with elegance, and I want the finer things."
And she gets that.
She's chucked into this Dracula kind of environment. That's who Dracula is.
Yeah,
he's a manipulator. He'll give you what you want.
Yeah,
and
it's all lavish and sort of big castle and
yeah, and she's being wooed and and it plays well off their weaknesses.
Yes. Also, I would say that they're not afraid to go gory in this, and I love the gore in it.
Yeah, all practical, which I love to see,
totally.
especially the guy's leg. That was pretty nicely shot.
Yeah, but also there's a scene where during the vampire tale where she puts the makeshift crucifix the cross to the vampire's head, and his head explodes, and it's class.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then the werewolf practical was nice.
Yes.
Especially when Toby's turning, his
Yes.
head starts bubbling,
Yeah.
and they have to shoot him. And you know what's great about that whole thing? He's a likable character, so when he gets it, you kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
he didn't do anything.
He was just a bit of a dick, but he was quite likable. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just a smart ass.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, I'm charming.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a lovable. He was
Wow,
a lovable
thank
rogue.
you.
So he was. Yeah, Toby, not you. What I suppose maybe you are as well.
I like some of the models which will eventually come to life. I can't remember. I think he's just badly burned, or Invisible Man, the guy who's got the bandage on and he's
Yes.
shoving the nozzle down the woman's throat.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, overall, it's clearly a sort of a love letter to all of the sort of classic horror sort of characters and tropes and stuff, you know. So,
Yeah.
and that's it's you can see there's a real enthusiasm here from Hickox.
Yeah, you can tell his love, especially for Universal monsters.
Yeah, yeah.
The classics, like you mentioned.
There's Little Shop of Horrors and everything in there somewhere, and so yeah, this is like his love letter to the genre.
Now, China and Toby get it first.
Yes.
So it's pretty much just Mark and what's her name?
Is it
again?
Laura or something? Or
Laura. I can't remember her name. Sarah.
Sarah, that's it. Sarah. It's
So
Sarah.
Sarah and her, they think that they just hooked up.
Yes.
So they end up leaving the house, but they decide they want to go back. Something doesn't feel right. And I love the scene with the cop.
Yes, I was going to say about the cop. It reminded me of. Do you remember the TV series Sledgehammer? That's who you sort of reminded me
Yeah,
of.
he does. He does. And
He even looks like him.
He
a bit.
He plays like an over-the-top 50s gumshoe. Is that what they call them?
Yeah,
Gumshoes?
yeah.
Whatever
That's
they're
sort of pulp type. Sort of yeah.
slamming his fist on the desk for saying nothing.
So yeah,
Just
it's
slamming
smoking
it.
heavily.
Smoke everywhere. I do like his when he gets the mummy scene.
Yes.
I thought that was a fun scene too.
Yeah, he gets thrown in the coffin.
He gets what a horrible way to go.
Yeah. It's
but
not a
again-
coffin. It's a tomb type thing.
It's a tomb, yeah. But there's some nice deaths there. He steps in the mummy steps on the man's head, and then he spears him, and then he spears himself with the same spear. And
Well, we're talking about arcs as well. I would Sora's arc is pretty good, where she's a virgin and she's like sexually repressed. So she wants to she wants to. There's a dark side to her, so she ends up getting thrown in with the Marquis de Sade, or Sad, as you would call him.
yeah, the Marquis de Sade is, as we all know what he's into, with very 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, well,
And-
give me the Marquis over 50 Shades of Bollocks any day.
But you know what? I for our listening audience, just in case.
Yeah,
But so she's thrown into this world of eroticism,
yeah, she's
and-
tempted with it.
and
You know?
she's tempted by it, and she's hypnotized by it. Mark figures out that all you have to do is you can run into this. He finds the border.
Yes.
of how to get out of these little scenarios, but he says you have to believe that it's fake.
Yeah,
There's none of this is real, and once he does, he's able to jump in and out of each one,
yes,
which I think works. Simple, it's
Yeah.
fine.
yeah,
This is where the film kind of has a downfall. This whole first half is fun, and I enjoy it. But you kind of mentioned it, once he jumps on Wolfie, Patrick McNee, it sucks. It gets bad.
it gets a bit too silly.
It gets, yeah.
I think the first half, like you say, is definitely the strongest, and I would say as well, it's the first half is what always stuck out in my mind over the years. What I remembered the most about it since first viewing it as a kid.
Well, like you mentioned, for budgetary reasons, it shows. You had the first act was smooth. It was kept you engrossed. You saw some tales of how they became wax figures. You've seen some just get pushed in and then become wax figures. I was happy with that mix. But when you mentioned budgetary, it shows in the final act.
Yeah.
So the whole plan is that he needs 18 bodies
Yes.
to finish these displays.
Yeah. But basically, David Warner has been knocking about for he sold his soul to the devil, And yeah, the 18 displays, divide 18 by 3, 666, 3 sixes. So yeah, and that'll mean like it will unleash hell on earth type thing. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, but then they get John Steed from the Avengers because he was related to, or he worked with Mark's Granda, who was, I believe, bumped off by David Warner's Waxwork Museum curator. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only way, obviously, any kind of wax film, and pretty much every wax film, is the only outcome that is to get the right outcome is to burn it.
Yeah. Like House of Wax, and even the Paris Hilton one.
Even when all these things come to life, because when you see them when they're just sitting there as pretending to be wax figures, it's fun.
Yeah,
you kind of go with it. But once they come to life, you're like, oh, this is kind of stupid.
You know what this film reminds me of?
What?
In real world terms, getting on a ghost train. An amusement park ride.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like getting on the ghost train, and monsters jumping out and all that there. And that to me is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does. It does have that old, old fairground, cheap little
and I
House
love that.
of Horrors feel. You know?
Yeah.
And it does. And don't get me wrong, it's still charm. It just kind of, it looks unprofessional. And that's obviously piggybacks on what you said, budgetary reasons. The fight scenes were very generic. Even David Warner's thing's bad when he falls into the wax and pops up. Do you want to come in for a deal? What he says?
Yeah, like the final scare type thing.
Yeah, if they had to cut budget, they should have saved a little bit to give him a better death.
Yeah, apparently they did run completely out of budget, and they had a different finale planned. But they couldn't realise it, so they just said, fuck it, we'll just have everybody fight. And it's basically a riot at the end of it. It's a mini riot, and then you have like Patrick McNee in like some sort of wheelchair type thing, fighting people. He gets a pretty good death.
Even if you have to budget it and you can't do all the gore and stuff, you have to do like pretty much a big mosh pit.
Yeah.
You have Kate Hodder there, who's playing Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. He's a stunt coordinator, a very competent man. You could have had some competency behind the stunts and the fighting then, at least.
It's complete chaos.
It's all it is okay, guys, and action.
Yeah.
That was it.
Go crazy. It's basically...
There's no choreography.
I think the direction was basically go nuts, go crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, the first 3 quarters of the film, you had me. I was enjoying myself. I had a smile on my face. And so... You hate giving, pissing on it because of budgetary reasons.
But we're not really pissing on it. We're just sort of picking holes, if you know what I mean.
Well, I'm not really picking holes. I mean, this ending's pretty bad. And I do love when Sarah and Mark escape.
Yeah.
And then you see the model house on fire.
Yeah. But
it's such a model, but I love it. I still have a smile on my face.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the hand survives. The hand keeps attacking them from the grave.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was funny. And then obviously Waxwork and the music starts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It gets a little too chaotic there near the end there.
But there's at the same time we understand the reasons why. They basically run out of money.
Yeah, I know, but again, that shouldn't be an excuse. I do think, like I mentioned, the choreography, a better choreography through your stunt coordinator could have helped that a bit. Spend an extra couple of days training them up a little bit and give us some fun little fights. Not this bunch of
madness.
Wow. I don't know what I was watching there.
Madness. It was hard to keep track actually of what was going on during the finale because it's just like people basically fighting with each other and just general madness, But it sort of keeps in, it's sort of in terms of the general sort of tone of it anyway. It fits in a way. But yeah, I know it is chaotic. Like
the film, obviously, will get a pass from me for a series of reasons. I like those little stories, and I liked the anthology feel of it, and I liked especially the practical effects. But it is pretty much just an homage to what Hitchcock's liked when he was a kid. It's got a Universal Monsters, the original House of Wax, almost a Munsters kind of charm to it.
Yeah.
So it's fun and it's taking a piss and you can't take it seriously. So you can get away with the over the top gore and the the Marquis de Sade scene where he's whipping her, which is actually probably the darker part of the film. And so if you can take all that and watch it as what we're saying it is, you probably will enjoy it. The last 5 minutes let it down, but no offense, a lot of Stephen King stuff lets us down the last 5 minutes. So, but we still give them passes, so why wouldn't he get a pass? So Waxwork's a fun little film. They did a sequel which was terrible. Don't see it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, see, exactly. I still enjoy it.
I know the sequel's something to do with time travel or something more, and I know technically this is time travel because they're getting thrown into these stories. But yeah, I would have to watch it again to form a proper opinion. Yeah,
I watched it once, and that was enough for me.
This is, but with me as well. There's nostalgia reasons for liking this, but it's a fairground ride. Don't take it too serious. It actually has a really good cast. Zach Gilligan is actually, I think, the weakest of the lot of them. But you've Warner in there, Patrick McNee. The two girls are great and pretty strong. So yeah, this is good fun.
So check it out. Anthony Hickox, R.I.P. buddy. It's too bad that you never got a bigger break. Some of the big boys there. It was nice to see what you can do if you're given a bigger budget and actually maybe remake Waxwork. That would be kind of neat to see. But sadly, we probably won't get it, which is fun. I'm surprised. I know they remade House of Wax, which wasn't bad a few years back.
Paris Hilton.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of this. It'd be kind of fun. But again, they'll probably ruin it with fucking digital and CGI.
Yeah. Just leave it. It is what it is. It's a slice of 80s cheese, and it's fun. Just don't go into it. You know what I mean? Go into it expecting a bit of a fairground ride, and homage to the old classics.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. Next up, The Exorcist 2. Oh, dear God.
Or as I like to call it, The Adventures of Locust Man and Tatooine.
Yeah, it's got Kokomo in it. Or Kwamo, whatever the fuck his name is. James Earl Jones. God love you, man. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
But if you want to learn about the life of a locust, watch Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
Never mind science documentaries, just watch Exorcist 2.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We are done. Thanks for listening. If you want to give us a shout, always feel free to at citizenframe_podcast, and of course on Facebook. Wow, this is under 30 minutes. That is a miracle.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Exorcist 2 be under 30 minutes?
Why couldn't Exorcist 2 just be like under 30 seconds? I'm talking about the film.
Oh my God. Well, we'll find out why we're not fans of it in the next podcast. You guys take care of yourselves and have